The post-9/11 world was one of fear and uncertainty. The United States, reeling from the attacks, embarked on a global war on terror. Now, years later, a former U.S. general has revealed shocking information.
He has exposed secret plans for U.S. invasions in the Middle East and Africa. These plans were designed to reshape the geopolitical landscape in America's favor.
The general's revelations have sent shockwaves through the world. They raise serious questions about U.S. foreign policy and its impact on democracy both at home and abroad. The general's revelations expose a list of countries targeted by the U.S. Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan were primary targets. These nations were seen as key to controlling the volatile Middle East.
The list also included Sudan, Lebanon, Syria, Libya, and Somalia. These African nations were deemed vital to U.S. interests in the region.
The general's revelations paint a disturbing picture of an aggressive U.S. foreign policy. This policy aimed to assert American dominance through military intervention and regime change. The U.S. strategy for regime change was multifaceted, involving a complex interplay of various tactics and methods. It involved a combination of military force, economic sanctions, and covert operations, each playing a crucial role in the overall plan.
The aim was to destabilize governments deemed unfriendly to the U.S. and replace them with regimes more aligned with American interests, often leading to significant internal conflict and chaos.
This approach often involved supporting opposition groups, even those with questionable human rights records, to create internal pressure and weaken the existing government. The strategy relied heavily on the use of propaganda and disinformation to sway public opinion both domestically and internationally, manipulating the narrative to gain support. The goal was to create a narrative that justified U.S. intervention and demonized the targeted regimes, making it easier to gain both political and public backing for their actions.
The general's revelations have had a profound impact on global perceptions of the United States. They have fueled anti-American sentiment and undermined trust in U.S. leadership.
Many now view the U.S. as a nation that prioritizes its own interests over international law and human rights. The revelations have also strained relationships with long-standing allies, who were kept in the dark about the true extent of U.S. intentions.
The damage to America's image abroad is significant and will take years, if not decades, to repair.
The general's revelations raise critical questions about the state of democracy within the United States. These revelations have sparked a nationwide debate, causing citizens to question the integrity of their democratic institutions and the transparency of their government. The decision to invade these countries was often made without public debate or congressional approval. This lack of transparency and accountability has led to widespread disillusionment among the populace, who feel their voices are being ignored.
The executive branch circumvented democratic processes in the name of national security. By bypassing the usual checks and balances, the executive has concentrated power, raising concerns about the erosion of democratic norms and the potential for abuse of power. This has set a dangerous precedent and eroded public trust in government. Public protests have become more frequent, and discussions about the state of democracy are now common in everyday conversations, reflecting a growing unease.
The revelations have also exposed the influence of powerful lobbies and special interests on U.S. foreign policy. These entities often operate behind closed doors, wielding significant power over elected officials and shaping policy to serve their own interests. These groups, often driven by economic or ideological motives, have played a significant role in shaping America's militaristic approach to the world. Their influence has led to policies that prioritize profit and power over the public good, further undermining democratic principles.
The revelations of the former U.S. general have sent shockwaves through the nation. These revelations demand a critical examination of U.S. foreign policy, which has long been a subject of intense debate. We must question the motivations behind these interventions, scrutinizing the true intentions and the hidden agendas that may lie beneath, and their impact on global stability. The consequences of these actions ripple across the world, affecting countless lives.
It is time for greater transparency in our government's dealings and accountability in decision-making processes. The public deserves to know the truth behind these critical decisions. The future of our democracy depends on it. An informed citizenry is the cornerstone of a healthy democracy.
We must also recognize the human cost of these interventions. The wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere have resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of civilians. These are not just numbers, they are human lives lost. Countless others have been displaced from their homes, forced to flee and seek refuge in foreign lands, and live with the trauma of conflict. The scars of war are deep and long-lasting.
It is our moral obligation to acknowledge this suffering, to see the faces behind the statistics, and work towards a more peaceful and just world. Only through understanding and compassion can we hope to create lasting change.